Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Red Devils Corner Kick podcast, a podcast dedicated to Manchester United. I hope everyone has been enjoying their week. It is Friday. Depending on where you are in the world, it is a very early Saturday. But we have a new episode today. Before we continue on, don't forget to hit subscribe, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And don't forget to hit a follow on my social media, X, Instagram, and as well as TikTok as well. On the agenda for today, with today's episode, we're talking the Mbeumo signing, which officially has happened. Last night, I was preparing an episode, started recording it. Obviously, a few things I was going to talk about last night will still be in today's episode, but an adjustment here or there. One, I was talking about the final bid that went in yesterday. Obviously, I had a few hiccups with one of the other segments I was recording, so I paused it last night. I was going to redo a new one, which kind of worked out because, again, Mbeumo bid was accepted, signing's there, medical's happening tomorrow or today, depending on where you are in the world. So we finally got through to that, and we're hoping that Mbeumo should be flying out for the U.S. tour next week. So I think it made it to there. First preseason game is technically happening in a few hours, 9 a.m. in Canada. So first preseason game, Stockholm against Leeds. We get to see the squad. We're not going to see any Rashford, Anthony, Sancho, Garnacho, or Malacia. They're not on the trip. They won't be participating on the tour. So they won't be there, but we will see the debut of Mateta, which we're excited to see. We're talking about the match that's going to be happening in a few hours. I'll be talking a little Aston Villa talk because Martinez and Watkins have been linked to Manchester United. Lastly, this should probably be in combination with the Aston Villa comment just because of Watkins. But now that we've officially gone through, Cunha and Mbeumo are two targets that are there. Striker has now been officially confirmed as the next signing for the squad. Who are we going to be looking at? I'll discuss that. And lastly, Alejandro Garnacho, also talk Sancho and Rashford. They're getting close to sign. Well, nothing's really updated, so it might be a little segment there about those three. But there are talks of Juventus coming in for Rashford as well as the Sancho deal, which apparently has been agreed. I don't know. Right now, it's the same news with those three. So we have that continuously going on, which nothing has changed. But there has been talks of swap deals involving Villa, which, again, I mentioned earlier that we'll be discussing. Potential swap deals with Juventus, which could happen. But lots to cover on today's episode as well. But again, like I said, I hope everyone's been enjoying the week. Hope they're excited for the weekend. Again, first preseason game is in a few hours. So that'll be my second segment discussing. But let's get to what, as a fan base, we have been waiting for 42, 43, 44 days. It felt like a year since this has been going on. Sorry for being a little dramatic, but Ineos finally was able to pull it through. We finally were able to sign Brian Mbeumo from Brentford, $65 million with a $6 million add-on incentive, so a total of 71. Talking about $95 million. Listen, for what he did last year with Brentford was incredible. We saw what he did, how well he played, especially how well he played with Wissa. So we're definitely excited to see him, Cunha together. But yes, a lot of people are talking about the price tag, how much did we pay and everything. When you look at how the market was going for the type of players that we were getting, the type of player that we got, it does kind of match up well with the cost. Because when you're looking at what Newcastle, what Arsenal were paying for players that were there in consideration of goals, assists, match up to like what Mbeumo was doing, we kind of got close to what the market value was for him. I know in the past United overpaying types of players, but with the release clause for Cunha, with the release clause, without release clause, but for the transfer bid for Mbeumo. We have Premier League players who have played and scored in this league, so that's helping us there. I know there was critiques last couple of days I saw on Twitter as we're getting up to potentially the final bid for Mbeumo, whether or not it was necessary to get 2 10s. This is kind of what I was going to be talking about in last night's potential episode. Unfortunately, I didn't get to it with everything going on, but I was talking about how it is beneficial to have these 2 10s. One, the way the system is for Amorim, you want to have players that can play multiple positions. The way things are going to look going into the season that could potentially be happening is you have Cunha and Mbeumo as your 2 10s. I think Xerxes is going to be the starting 9 because, again, we don't know what's going to be happening with Højlund as this preseason goes. He could be going to somewhere else. AC Milan is coming for that, but right now we're currently looking at how we can get our attack going. And the one thing that's important is what we had issues with last year was maintaining the ball in transition and keeping it on our offensive side. We had that. We had stupid passes. We had people who were trying to do the shots on their own instead of trying to make the right play and making that second step. And we sometimes, when those bad passes or improper shots or not thinking correctly when making that next move, it would later transfer into an error and as well as go into a transition for the other team and they go off and score. Basically, sometimes we had issues where we're putting so much pressure on our back that as much as we tried to carry the ball out, there were times where we would lose the ball quickly before we even got to the half. So we were stuck on our own half and then the transition going back away and then we'd start getting shots. That's what we saw a lot last year when we saw Onana getting blasted with multiple shots. Well, not last season, but the season before, United having the highest shot totals against a goalkeeper. So we saw how it's all playing there. But I think this year, having those 2 10s with Bruno in the middle, having a guy like Ahmad on the wing back, you're going to see that transition be a little bit better, the pace be a lot smoother, I'm hoping. A lot more control with the ball, less pressure on certain players to continue on with the ball. So we're going to see, hopefully, a new-sided, more controlled offensive United this season. And having the addition of Mbeumo and Cunha will help with that. I think having them there will improve the control on the offensive side, but less stress on our back end, especially in those quick transitions, or those failed transitions, when we saw that. A lot of people did. That's what a lot of our struggles were, especially when you're looking at our strikers who tried to carry the ball up. Højlund did struggle. There were sometimes he would get the ball, but then lose it quickly. Bruno sometimes was slacking. I shouldn't say slacking, but being careless with the ball, especially with passes. But I think now with everything that Amorim is trying to set up, I think having those 2 10s there, having that proper transition does help. It does. And when you have those types of ball carriers and the footwork that they can do and the way they fit in that system, it will help Amorim and the squad get better. So it's going to be exciting to see with this offense. So yes, we finally got it. I was looking forward to getting Mbeumo there. I did have my ups and downs about Cunha, but you know what? From what I've been seeing so far in the first 2 weeks, he's been great. And you know what? And I had him in fantasy as well. So I shouldn't really. He was great for me in fantasy, to say the least. But I did have my concerns. But again, I am happy that he is going to be with the squad. I'm happy that we have both of them on the squad, so our offensive game plan will be there. But yes, we finally got here with Mbeumo, and we finally look like we're going the right steps here. That's what we're looking at here, and hopefully now we start making proper sales. We start getting players out. So we're hoping that starts moving, so we start getting other pieces so we can fit in. So, yeah, we have more things to come, but in the end, we finally got to the target that we wanted after a quick start. Now, my apologies, ladies and gentlemen, for that little interruption there, that little hiccup. But after a fast start with Cunha, and then feels like we were finishing the last 2 hours of a marathon when dealing with Brentford and Mbeumo, but we finally have them here. So we have our two top targets. We're there, we're 10s, which now puts players in other positions where we can start transitioning and getting the system going. So happy that we have both of them. Happy that we have Mbeumo finally done. We can finally get him into the preseason next week. So we'll see him debut possibly next week in Newark because they're playing in New Jersey against, I think it's Bournemouth. No, West Ham, I think it is next week. I can't remember. It's either Bournemouth or West Ham. I know it's not Everton because they're playing Everton in Atlanta. I think it's Bournemouth that they're playing next Saturday. I will check that later in another episode. Not right now. But yes, we're finally moving in the right direction. I know it took longer, but we're happy that we're finally there. Okay. Well, one segment down, another one. Here we go. Now I'm basically back on the game plan from last night's episode. Last night I did try to get an episode out. Obviously things didn't work out well. So here I am getting back into the original because, again, I planned it. Like I said, things didn't work out in one or two segments, but now I'm back on track to what I was discussing about. Because now that it's Saturday early morning, we are technically 9 hours from kickoff for Manchester United versus Leeds in Stockholm. It was the first preseason game, first preseason friendly to start. And the off-season has been gone, hasn't been perfect, but here we are now, beginning of beginning of the Emirates. Well, we are in the Emirates era, but the off-season of Emirates, and hopefully getting everything going and ready to go. What am I expecting for this preseason? It's hard to say. One, it's the first preseason match, so I won't be upset if we win, lose, or draw. Well, I shouldn't be upset when I say we have win or draw, but the result of the game is not going to matter to me. And like I said, we're the first there. We don't have everyone there. Again, we have Mbeumo, who's coming in next week after his medical and everything. We have Cunha there. We're going to see him debut. We'll see him play well. We're going to see probably some youth go tomorrow because, again, everyone is just slowly getting in. There is talks that Amram may go with a smaller squad just because, A, less games, B, you want to make sure that you're getting everyone in that you think is the right position for opening day, which is in Arsenal, which is less than, now 4 weeks. August 17th is when we play Arsenal, so we want to make sure we're getting ready. But if I'm picking the match day squad for 8 hours, and Leeds is now back in the Premier League as well. If you know the history between Manchester United and Leeds, it does go way back. So you can have the rivalry and the history come back again, which is kind of a good thing for the season. The history has always been an important part of the game, especially with Leeds coming back in. You're going to have a little bit of a rivalry there. You're still going to have the rivalry with your other clubs, whether it's City, Liverpool. You're going to have Arsenal. You're going to have talks with Chelsea, with the usual top 6 teams. There's definitely going to be some heat with the Tottenham, but going back to it, it is the first preseason game, like I mentioned. No matter what the result is after tomorrow's match, it is not going to make me dictate what my season's going to be. I'm not going to be losing my shit saying Amram needs to go because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. I'm not going to be like that. I won't be. Because it's the first preseason game. We're just getting into it. And I have a lot of things I would like to do or like to see. I would like to see what Xerxes can do with Cunha and whoever's at the 10 and maybe Ahmad tomorrow because I think Bruno's going to start in his deep role tomorrow. or we have him in the 10 and Ahmad's out on the wing back. But I think Ahmad's going to be in the 10 tomorrow. And then you're going to have Delo out on the right. But what I'm seeing here is just the transition and how everything goes. So, if I'm picking my squad, Xerxes going to start tomorrow. I'm saying that. Xerxes starts tomorrow. Cunha and Ahmad will be your 10s. Bruno Casemiro in the middle. Dorgu, Delo out on your wides. Maz, Delit, Euro will be your back three. On the bench, you're going to see some youth. You're going to see Cunha. You're going to see Cheeto. You're going to see Rasmus in there. One thing I'm looking at, I'll talk about Rasmus in a moment. I may bring this into my, because it's the preseason, we're talking about this in the first match. I will talk about Rasmus in a few moments. I think I mentioned it maybe last week's episode. I can't remember, so I might be repeating myself, but I'll get to it in a moment. Yes, Rasmus will be on the bench. Shaw will be on the bench. McGuire will be there. We're going to have a decent bench for depth. Remember that when we go in. The question is, can that bench stay healthy when they come on? Hard to say. Aiden Heaven will be there. Fredrickson will be there. I mentioned Cheeto. I mentioned Collier. Harry Moss will be there. He is now going on loan, which was just announced today. Collier will be there as well. Plus, you have Mason Mount, Ugarte as well. Ugarte may start too, right beside Bruno. But I think it's going to be Casemiro. But in the end, that's going to be my starting 11. And Bayender in net, because Onana is out. And from what I'm hearing, Onana should be ready to go for that first game. So we'll see. But yes, going back to it, I don't think tomorrow's going to be the first game. There's going to be a lot of errors. There are going to be a lot of hiccups. Some people are going to be hammer them in, undecisive, hammer them out, no matter what the result's going to be tomorrow. Some of them may be United fans. Some of them may be rival fans just trying to stir us up. Those in-betweens are going to be United fans wondering what the heck is going on. And the ones that are supporters saying we need time. And yes, I'm in that area. We need time. We need to take it and get everything going and just get everything working. So, but yeah, I'm not going overbearing or going to go bananas on the result tomorrow, because it's day one. Like, I know we're 2 weeks into training, but it's the first day, the first game. We don't know what to expect. This game will not dictate us winning the Premier League. It won't. There's going to be fans thinking that, but it won't. So what I'm looking for is like the team building, the momentum, transition, how everything's working in the formation. Like Cunha will be up at the 10. You're going to see where Ahmad can be playing. That's the important thing. What type of role will Xerxes have? What type of role will Mason Mount have? Like, Mason Mount, as much as we paid for the price, he's probably going to be a bench player, especially going into this game because of that. The one thing that's great is, and everyone's been mentioning, how lean the team is looking. That's great. That means less impact on injuries, knock on wood. So we'll see the fitness be a little bit better, be a little bit more improved than last year. But the one thing is, I want to see the offensive attack. How are things going to look? How are the movement of the ball? My main thing is going to be possession. Can we maintain possession in the offensive side? And I mentioned this earlier on, how with Mbeumo signing and Cunha signings, how that impacts us in transition offensively. It helps because you're going to see the ball moves. Yes, you can see what happens in training, but right now we need less hero ball this season, and we're going to see hopefully more control. I think Amarin wants that too. I think every member of this fan base wants the same thing. We cannot lose the ball in transition from moving from the back to the front and get it up to the front. We have to maintain it. No stupid shots, no stupid passes, just making the right plays to get everything going for this. Get everything going for this season. So keep an eye on that as well. I think I'm more looking at the attack more than anything as well. I'm excited to see Cheeto. I'm excited to see Cunha play. Hopefully Aiden Heaven gets minutes. The main player I want to see, Cheeto could potentially start too. I know many people that, but I think Xerxes is going to start just the way he moves the ball. And I think when you're watching a lot of the practice tapes and everything, you're definitely seeing that connection there of with Xerxes and Cunha, Ahmad, everything moving up. So I'm looking forward to it. And so I think the possession is going to be key. So look at that. I love when I go on these moments here and I'm in my transition thought. And then one other thought pops in my head. I'm like, should I talk about this while I'm also spitting out my words? That happens a lot. And sometimes you just go off. But yes, it's in the end, overall, Xerxes, Cunha, Ahmad is your front three. Delo, Dorgu on your wides, Casemiro, Bruno in the middle, Euro, Delit, Maz as your back three, and Bayender starting. Again, youth rotation, everything, but overall, I think the main player I want to see, which I was about to get to, and then I just went squirrel for a moment. It's Kone. I'm from what the highlights I saw from when he was playing in the youth academy to what I saw on the Malaysian tour or on the Asian tour. Sorry, we're hoping that it's going to be. I'm looking forward to see what he can do. Diego Leon as well. I forgot to mention him. He will be potentially playing. He could be potentially in a starter as well. You can see him potentially getting up there, but like him, Kone, Cheeto Obi, those are going to be three people to watch. One person I was going to mention, I started talking about Rasmus. Watch for Rasmus this preseason. This is key, and I think I mentioned it in the last episode. I know I was going to remind it in yesterday's episode that I was preparing, which is no longer exists. I would like to see Rasmus finish this preseason without an injury, knock on wood. The reason why is year one, he came in, he had the back injury, so he didn't really debut until September, October, missing the whole preseason, not getting any game time or conditioning. But we saw what he was able to do in Europe, and we saw what he was able to do in his first couple of months in the Prem were not the best until that Aston Villa game come back. So he didn't really have a preseason. Fast forward to last year's preseason. First game, injured. He's really not back until about October. Missing the remainder of preseason, as well as missing start of the season. Debuts a little bit, does start scoring in Europe. Didn't really score in the Prem either. Had those struggles. We know what his struggles were. Now here we are. Rasmus talks about him being sold. Inter, AC Milan is now in negotiations, or in inquiry, not negotiations. Sorry for that incorrect word to use. But here we are. We're looking at it, and Rasmus, the focus on is his preseason. He looks leaner. He's hopefully that's going to help him reduce injuries. But with the system that Emmer wants to play for fast moving, he's got to be able to get his footwork going and work on transition moving up. Be in the right spot, be in the right places. That's what we're going to be looking for. For me, when we're watching Rasmus, it's his health. I think that's a big thing for the game tomorrow when he goes in is watching him there. We want him to be healthy this season. I kind of sidetracked away from now talking about the game, but I think you understand what I'm looking for at the game. And now talking about preseason and players, I think focusing on Rasmus and having him healthy going into the regular season, getting the bugs out the cobwebs, seeing what he can do once he gets a fresh start at the beginning of the season. Because again, we never usually see him starting at the beginning of the season. The last 2 years, he wasn't there day one. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Xerxes was there for the first game and scored, and he was mostly our starter. And then we started doing some Paul Stein games because of, obviously, Xerxes' transition to the Prem wasn't the best. But obviously we saw him improve later. But having Rasmus healthy through a full preseason does make a difference. I think at least, and I think that's going to be help with his development in the season too. So keep an eye on that too. Let's look at that. But yeah, the players I mentioned for tomorrow that when we see Leon, Kone, Cheeto, and again for this preseason, Rasmus Højlund. Hopefully he's healthy. Hopefully he plays as much as he can, gets himself familiar with everything on what the role of the striker should be, and hopefully we see him break out. Hopefully both our strikers break out, but I think this preseason is very important for Rasmus Højlund. Okay. Obviously, Onana has been injured, which always brings up transfer talks. Aston Villa has been in contact, or Man United have been in contact with Aston Villa over their keeper, Martinez, and also Ollie Watkins is in discussion as well. This is going to I'm going to combine this segment when we're discussing with the strikers too, because Ollie Watkins fits into that role of striker. But yes, there's talks with Emi Martinez coming to Manchester United. There's talks of potential swap. Who might be included in that swap? It might be Alejandro Garnacho. He might be going to Villa. The question is, what can we do to get Ollie Watkins away? There is a price tag there as well. But there is a notation that I saw yesterday was a release clause for Emi Martinez, which I believe is about $22 million. United are willing to pay more just to try and get him and then spread out the payments, obviously financials. But the key is getting a Premier League proven goalie to United to compete with Onana, but at the same time too, Onana's injured. Secondly, Onana's going to be leaving in December for the AFCON, so we're not going to have him for about a month and a bit. So that is kind of concerning. So having Martinez come in, if we can get him at a reasonable price, having that experience there will be important for United in this too. And it also helps them with the back line as well, saves how you defend free kicks. So I know Onana has had those issues. But yes, having that goalkeeper there may help. But the question is, can we get him at cost? The question is, can we give out a player, maybe do something combining with him and Ollie Watkins to bring over to Manchester United? If we can get the keeper that we want and a striker, an experienced striker, that will be important too, because Ollie Watkins can help with Rasmus, Cheeto, and as well as Xerxes. Xerxes is probably going to be more of a hybrid role of a 9 and a 10. Yes, I know he's mentioned a 9.5 or whatever. But I think you're going to see that potentially there, and I think maybe Garnacho could be that key piece. And if we get sales with Rashford, Sancho, and the other two, potentially more. I know we're going to be making money off of Harry Amos while he's on loan, but I think we're going to see some movements of getting important pieces with it. So especially with the $15 million we just made off of 3 signings, or 3 former players being resold to new clubs. But that's what we're looking at here. But yes, Emi Martinez, Ollie Watkins, potential United targets. I know there have been open discussions with them that were just released Wednesday, Thursday, one of those two. So definitely looking forward to see what happens. So that basically combines with the striker situation. Now that we've signed Mbeumo, the question is now it was acknowledged by, I think it was David Ornstein and Romano, that the next target is a striker. That's the next focus. That's what they're looking at bringing in, which helps. Again, a striker, like if we didn't get Mbeumo or if we didn't get both of those targets, getting that new striker wouldn't have made a difference with United. Striker, like as much as striker didn't really help last season, we had our struggles. At the same time, too, it would not have fixed everything because the way things have been fed to our strikers, not really the best in some scenarios. But having Mbeumo, those two there, the type of players that they are, having that striker there as well, it will help improve. I think having Ollie Watkins there as a target could help as well. But There are other targets that United are looking at here. Mateta out of Crystal Palace has been in talks. Sesko is looking like the main target for United to get him in. Obviously, the other targets, Gyökeres is going to Arsenal. Osimhen is costing us the moon and the universe, or well, he would cost us the moon and the universe. There's Ekitike, but he's looking like potentially a target to Liverpool. Isak could be going to Liverpool. So we're still in that limbo of who's our striker going to be. The answer is we don't know. Like I mentioned, this is a big preseason for Rasmus Højlund. One, can he stay healthy? B, what can he do to make up for last year? Xerxes, he's dropped the weight. He looks like he should be more physically fit for this type of system. Again, I've always loved his footwork and how he's played. The second half of his season, we saw what he can be in this league. So I think him thinning out and getting there is going to be incredible. Going to be good to see. So it does take time, guys. Players cannot just come in and snap their fingers and go. Some can, some won't. But there is things that do take time. So seeing Xerxes go through and continuing on for how well he did in the second season. But right now, we have to see how everything. It's hard to say what our two strikers are going to be like realistically. But again, having that third striker, because again, Cheeto is still young. He still have time to develop. He's still maybe doing some stuff for the academy as well. I know his numbers changed. But you're going to see him hopefully get there and start developing as well into our future striker. And I know Xerxes last year, there was a chance that he was going to get sold in December, but came out, got himself back in. We saw what happened out of Buda, and then basically got himself back. He didn't score crazy a lot, but man, did his footwork do a lot of good things. And you saw what him and Bruno were capable of doing together. So just give it time, just to say the least. But again, talks with about potentially, and Jackson from Nico Jackson from Chelsea is now in talks too. So yeah, so at least the main strikers are all. I think the main strikers that they're looking at is either Watkins, Sesko, Mateta, Jackson. Mateta is the cheapest option, by the way. So, and Mateta has scored in the Prem. Watkins has scored multiple times in the Prem. And I know many fans do not want Jackson, especially with the Chelsea connection. And Sesko, well, we'll see what Sesko can do. There's definitely going to be some talks about if they can pull him in from Leipzig. So those are the targets that they're looking at. But will the new striker help? I don't know. I really can't say anything yet because, again, they don't have him here. What's it like going to be when they get here? There's going to be some time for them to develop and get into it. I know we're playing less games, no European soccer, which is perfectly fine. I know many people are probably going to backlash on that, but I think that having these signings one of these signings will help. Either way, because again, if we're not getting the right pieces, the 210s are important. And again, like I said, in the mention, and if they can get those spots to where the striker is going to be, and they can start get everything working together, we may see some beautiful things, but I can't really say yes or no. But we don't know yet because, again, it's coming up on 8.5 hours until our first match. Depending on when you listen to this episode of the podcast, it might be the game might be done too. So, but yes, looking at that, Sesko, Mateta, Jackson, Ollie Watkins, those are all potential signings. The ones that we're looking at are all basically gone, but Isak is going for 120 million at least right now. So it's just slowly. We're in the same spot every week for a striker. But now that Mbeumo's done, now we can focus on that striker. Can we get a goalie as well? Could what we do with Aston Villa get to Manchester United? Like, can we pull away 2 players from United and experience, or not pull 2 players away from United? The only players I want pulled away from United are those 5 that were mentioned that we're looking to sell. But if we can get Ollie Watkins, if we can get Martinez to be there as well, so we're hopefully going to have things working out well. So I think after the striker, we have to get a midfielder. But if we can land those 2 and then not worry about anything else, just getting those midfielders, because again, we do need some midfield depth too. So again, we have Ugarte, Mainu. Yes, and I forgot to mention Mainu too. My apologies. So Casemiro, Mainu, Collier, Kone, Ugarte. Sorry, let's do this again. Bruno, Casemiro, Kobe, Ugarte, Collier, and Kone. So you have 6 midfields there. I mean, I think you may have to bring in Kone for the season, but if Collier is still healthy, you're going to have Ugarte and Mainu, so you may not even go for another midfielder. And then I just realized our back, and Lisandro Martinez is coming back. You have Fredrickson, Aiden Heaven, Maz, Delit, Maguire, Euro. So you have pieces there. I think the wingbacks might be a little bit more important just because. And Luke Shaw too. So you have Luke Shaw who can play in the wingback, but probably will play in the back 3. So we are going to have depth. So it's a matter of how people are looking at it here. So when you keep talking more and more about the players, you're going to see that there. Like I said, the attack, Cunha now and Mbeumo. You're going to have Rasmus and Xerxes. You have Mason Mount, who's going to be there as well. You have Ahmad that can play in the 10. Your wingbacks will be Ahmad there, but you have Maz come up below. You also have Dorgu. You have Leon as well. Shaw can kind of play up there too. So you're going to have some players in multiple positions, but it's a matter of is trying to get depth and the right players and the right pieces. So we'll see. Can players stay healthy? Shaw, can he stay healthy? Rasmus, can he stay healthy? That's also an important thing as well. And listen, can the leadership and the transition and everything go to the field after practice and all that there? Can that go there? We don't know. We hope. That's what we're looking at here. So my last little segment here, I know I didn't do a transition to it, but I was aiming for it to be small. Nothing really new in regards to the sale of players. Rumors, talks of Rashford and Barca. Yeah, cool. We're well aware of that. Juventus has been rumored to come into for Rashford just to inquire. Sancho. There's talks of Newcastle. A new report came in for Newcastle looking at Sancho, but it looks like everything is being focused on Juventus, the transfer deal. I know they're working on salary. We'll see how that goes. I know lastly, Sancho's requesting a severance for payout, yada, yada, yada. Nothing really on Garnacho. He wants to stay in the Prem, but Chelsea, Aston Villa potentially is rumored. Hey, even Newcastle could potentially go, or hey, maybe Nottingham Forest could go in for him as well as a replacement for Malanga. Actually, yeah. So we'll see. I know Sancho believes that you know what? I won't continue on with this. Again, small segment. I'm just going to leave it there. Nothing really new to move on from it. Let's just leave it there. No movement on the 5 players that are on the block. There has been no new movement. So we'll leave that there. That's yeah. Once I hear something with the 5 moving, I'll move it on. It's just like when talking about other episodes. Once I hear a signing, yes, I'll be here. Like last night, again, I didn't do last night's episode, not because I didn't think that the signing was happening. I didn't know that was going to happen right away. But I didn't do last episode, but now today I have a signing, something to be proud of. We have Brian Mbeumo. We are hopefully going to get things going for United. So, but yeah, that's where I'm going to leave for the episode. That's it. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. One thing is always, don't forget to leave a comment, give me a check mark, give me a feedback, something to help me help improve. I know when I post these videos, it's just my crest, my logo of the podcast going. I'm not yet there to show my face. I think eventually I will start breaking out into that, but mostly it's just in the pod. So yes, if you have any feedback, audios, things that you want me to see, I know I've mentioned about doing rankings as the preseason goes on, as we're getting ready, because again, this is episode 30 now of the pod. So I'm going to start getting things going. I know unlike other podcasts, like other fan channels who've been doing this for years, I have only been doing this now for 4 months. So I will slowly start getting myself better, especially in the social media presence. Kind of been okay with last day or so TikTok, but it's about consistency. So trying to be as consistent as I can. So if you have any feedback, please do so. And then don't forget, subscribe, whether you're on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Pods or Spotify. And yes, follow on Instagram, Red Devils Corner Kick Podcast, RD Corner Kicks Pod on X, and then Red Devils Corner Kick Podcast on TikTok as well. So any feedback, if you want to do a collaboration or you want to do some other stuff, please shoot me a message, a DM through my social media, and we'll talk. We'll try to set something up to get talking about Manchester United football, what we want to see. Because again, for me, I'm on the other side of the pond. I'm in Canada, and I know I'm not the only Manchester United fan in North America, ladies and gentlemen. So even if you are on the other side of the pond, even shoot me a message there. I'm okay with time zone. We'll try to pick something here. Will I be doing a watch along? We'll see. I do have my regular day job, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, if you want to shoot anything, please shoot a message. Don't forget, again, like I said, just mentioned before, subscribe, give a comment, give some feedback. I want to help grow this as well. So again, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I will be back later on in the weekend. Obviously, we have the game in less than 8.5 hours. Leeds at 9 a.m. in Canada, so I'll be watching that, eating some breakfast. For those that are going to the game, I hope you enjoy it. I am a little jealous. I'm going to try and hopefully catch a game on our end here, but we do not know if that's going to be happening. So it's just a matter of wait and see. So enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the match in a few hours. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode as well. I'll be back again later on the weekend just to do a catch-up as well. So once again, have a good weekend. Have a good morning. Have a good night. This is the Red Devils Corner Kick Podcast. Glory, glory, Man United.